Hey, welcome back, everybody. It is really good to be back with you guys. It's good to see you again. We've been kind of on a break. Stuff's been kind of crazy. My name's Ben. I'm a licensed clinical professional counselor. If this is your first time joining us, this is Deep Space. It's a vlog that we've created for mental health and talking about psychology, talking about life. So today we have a really fun topic we're going to be talking about. It's Valentine's week. Happy Valentine's Day week or wherever we're at as you're watching this. But to celebrate, we're going to talk about sex. For those of you that are my students, this is a continuation of our conversation on Monday that I hope will be helpful. So we're going to talk about sex, we're going to talk about sex ed. This is going to be a sort of a psychological, emotional, biological, sexual education. We're going to talk about the ways that sexuality and biology intersect, and they intersect in a psychological way, in an emotional way that is really kind of cool. It's kind of helpful. It can help you understand a lot about yourself and a lot about the relationship that you're in. So let's do it. Let's jump in. Okay, so sexuality from a psychological perspective starts first of all with the understatement of the year and maybe Captain Obvious, but sex is really biological, right? There's a huge biological component. I don't just mean that we feel it and that we use our bodies for it. Obviously we do, but there are markers and things that you can see and track and individual sexual experiences that actually differentiate what kind of a sexual experience that you're having, which can give you a really good indication of what kind of a relationship are you in and at what stage of your relationship development are you, based on what kind of sex are you having. What is the sex that you're having doing in your body says a lot about what kind of relationship you and your partner have, which is really cool. It's really fascinating. I nerd out on this stuff. I hope you enjoy it. It's really fun for me to talk about. So the first thing, sex is super biological. The first way that it shows up that we're going to talk about is a $1 million word that if you play it in Scrabble, you win all the points. Phenylethylamine. Okay, phenylethylamine is an organic compound that happens in our bodies can naturally create, we're finding to be super associated with feelings of infatuation, feelings of, it's possible that we've discovered, I kind of nerd out on this stuff, but it's possible we've discovered the biological manifestation of crush, of infatuation. So here's symptoms of phenylethylamine, right? If you find yourself suppressed appetite about related to a person, an inability to focus on much of anything else. You just want to write Mrs. So-and-so on your trapper keeper. You're just that's all you want to think about. That's a sign of phenylethylamine. Intense longing for physical contact. That's where this is going to intersect with our conversation about sexuality. You just want to touch each other. And a longing to look deeply into each other's eyes and stare at each other, which is a part of the bonding process. It can really hit hard. It's really unpredictable. Sometimes it will dump for somebody that's not even available, and it won't happen. It won't spark for somebody. You're like, this person's a really good idea, and yet the phenylethylamine just doesn't happen. It's really unpredictable in that way. But phenylethylamine has a real purpose. There's a biological purpose for phenylethylamine, why we have it. The way I think about it is if we're two people, as a species, we do really well connected. Interconnectedness, like bonding, pair bonds, and family units that are strong that have two people together, it's really good for us in just managing the difficulty of life, right? It's good to be in relationship with people who are good for us. And phenylethylamine helps us do that, because once we get about here normally, most of us would find out pretty quickly, most people kind of suck. And once I get about to this level of closeness, I start to realize I actually don't want to be with you. You've got problems, or you're kind of weird. And that would happen a lot throughout humanity. We would often get about here and then go here. So what phenylethylamine does, this is crazy. Phenylethylamine is in the amphetamine family. It's like your brain creates natural meth for you that gets you super excited, that gets you over this hump of distancing. And then what it does, it just blows my mind. Phenylethylamine, as it's hyping you up, excited like meth, it also has hallucinogenic properties. So it causes you to gloss over and inaccurately assess your potential partner's weaknesses and flaws. You don't see them accurately anymore, and you're just like, I don't care. So when normal thinking Ben over here is meeting this person, like, wow, they kind of like, they're not that fun to be around, or they kind of smell, or whatever. And I would normally bail. Phenylethylamine is like, oh, but that's their smell. And those clothes that they leave on the floor, that's their socks. And I like want to be, I don't see that as a problem in the way that I normally would if I was like brain sober. But because I'm not, boom, we stick. And we just want to be together, and we just want to bang. We just want to hook up a lot, and our bodies are just wanting to touch each other. So this is a good thing, because it's like emotional and psychological lubrication that allows us to work through the friction and the sort of gnarly things that come with connecting with another human and stick together, right? So you got to know, though, phenylethylamine is temporary, which is a good thing. If you had that feeling of puppy love forever, and if we all did, nothing's getting done. We're not going to be very good parents. We're not going to go to work. We're just going to want to bang all day and stay in bed and never leave. So it's good that it doesn't last forever, because that portion of the life experience, of life cycle, is not super productive. So instead, what happens is it sticks us together for the purpose of something else forming, right? So if that other stuff doesn't happen, what will happen is 18 to 24 months into your relationship, the phenylethylamine will start to fade, and you won't have that same connection anymore. You might stay together. There might be connections that have grown that are like sort of arbitrary or fabricated connections, like I don't want to hurt their feelings. Or maybe there's a kid involved where I'm not connected to you, I'm not into you anymore, but we're staying together, and then you're this relationship. The phenylethylamine had you this, and then you faded into this. That's not a good thing, right? What's supposed to happen is in this process, as the phenylethylamine has you stuck together, bonding occurs, right? And you become important to each other. You actually mean something to each other. You're an important part of each other's life. You do the hard things of life together. You depend on each other. You matter in a way that this person is just like, man, I just want to touch them. I just want to see them. They're just really important to me. I long to be with them. I get super jealous if I think about them leaving, because they're going to cut off my amphetamine, my meth trip, my hallucinogenic meth fix is going to be gone. Instead, this says, you're an important part of my life, and I can't imagine life without you. You make life more livable. My life is more livable because you're in it, and we're connected. And then the phenylethylamine drifts, but this stays, right? So the next thing, there's a way that we can see that in what kind of sex you're having. Super fascinating. Again, I nerd out on this stuff super hard, so I hope this is interesting to you too. All right, so one way that we can see one kind of sex during this season, there's a chemical that's produced in mass during these experiences that drives these experiences. You should know this. It's an important one. It shows up a lot in mental health in general, but dopamine. Dopamine is pleasure. Dopamine is feel good. So in this season of sexuality, this season of a relationship, it is just really fun. And it's thrilling. It's exciting. One of the things that creates dopamine for us in general, not just in sexuality, but in general, that drives dopamine production, the human brain loves novelty, new stuff. So think about that with sexuality, right? Early sexual experiences are so much more thrilling. This is the first time that I've seen this body. This is the first time that I've touched this body. This is the first time that I have engaged with this person who I've seen in this other context maybe a lot, and I'm actually observing and connecting to their sexuality, right? I'm seeing them aroused, and they're aroused about me, and I've never felt this from this person before. That is exciting, right? It's a thrill. Early sex is driven primarily by dopamine, and it's super thrilling. So here's the thing you got to know about this. In the same way that the phenylethylamine drifts, so does the dopamine, right? Dopamine, the novelty wears off. It's no longer a new experience. I've been with this person before. This is not new. This is not exciting in the same way. The dopamine moves. It's kind of like, this is going to be a bad metaphor, but it's kind of like chewing gum. It loses its flavor. And so the sexual experiences begin to shift out of this dopamine thing, out of this phenylethylamine thing, and the relationship begins to change, right? So again, couples will often at this point, I see them in my office all the time, they'll feel like something negative is happening, something bad is happening, and they'll try to fight it. And so they'll try to recover the dopamine by trying to recover the novelty, role playing, new positions, pushing the envelope, just trying to get this rush, this thrill again. When we're trying to recover the dopamine in a sexual relationship, we're trying to get the thrill back. We're trying to get the excitement. We're trying to light the fuse again on the excitement of this experience. And so we try all these things to try to maintain novelty and recover novelty. So we pretend like we just met, or we wear new things, we get new lingerie, or we go sleep with each other in the parking lot of my work, or whatever. We try to recover that new feeling, and it fades. So for a lot of couples and a lot of people, this is where their relationship inevitably ends, because the next season can be difficult to maintain, but if you can get it, oh, it's so much better. It's really cool. So the next kind of sexuality, the kind of sexuality that is associated with this experience, is not driven by dopamine and novelty. It's driven by oxytocin and serotonin. If you don't know what those are, you should check them out. They're really important for our overall sense of well-being and health. Oxytocin is like snuggle. It's connection. It's really super powerful and present in breastfeeding mothers and their babies. They just want to touch each other. They just want to snuggle. They just want to be with each other. It's a different kind of want to touch you than phenylethylamine and dopamine. It's your touch is soothing to me. Your presence helps me to manage my emotion and the difficult things in life, and you become important to me, right? That kind of sexual experience also releases a lot of serotonin. Serotonin is about joy. I find joy in connection with you. I find peace in connection with you. Our sexual experience is not the same as it used to be, and like this is no longer new and thrilling and exciting in the way that it was early, but it's grown into something else where we are important to each other. We do life together in a way that's meaningful and helps us take care of like hard stuff. Life can be really difficult, and when I have a partner who my sexual experiences with them helps me to manage that difficulty and feel better, that becomes so much more valuable than this person's super hot. This super person is crazy fun. That's cool. That's a good thing. That can get us to stick and to like come back and begin to form a monogamous relationship. But the next step of it, you could kind of think of it as a benchmark in the development and maturity of your relationship in general. Right? Where are you in this process? What are your sexual experiences primarily focused on? How hot we can get this thing, or how close we can get together as people, as partners? That you are my person, or you are super fun to hook up with. That is a continuum. That's a developmental process that a lot of people get stuck with. It's difficult to allow another person to do this. You have to allow another person to see you. You have to allow another person into yourself vulnerably. You have to step up and be there. This is much more painful to rip and break. So for a lot of people, they're here and the idea of this is really scary. It creates a lot of anxiety. I don't know if I can deliver on that. I don't know if I'm ready developmentally to have a relationship where we are really meaningful to each other and we're important to each other. Let me just tell you though, when you can get there, it is really, really good. It's good in a way that's not the white, hot, mind-blowing sex, but it's really powerful and just a connective, we are together bonded. You are a person who changes what my life is like just by your presence. Does that make sense? So my hope for you this Valentine's season is that you can, as you look at your own partner, as you look at your own sexual relationship, if you see, boy, I'm just really trying to keep this thing hot, I wonder if there might be the potential of a deepening process of allowing this person into your heart and you into theirs, them into yours in a way that changes what your life is like and changes what theirs is like. I can tell you it's worth it. It's really healthy. It doesn't mean the end of dopamine either, by the way. There can be some pretty hot connection in this place. And when the planets align, when cycles align, energy aligns, time aligns, well, you'll find yourself sometimes like, wow, that ended up, where did that come from? That went really well. there was a lot of dopamine in that. That was really fun. But it's no longer the purpose of your sexual connection. It's no longer about, I just want to get this thing as hot as I can to get as much pleasure out of this as I can. It's, I want to be with you. So this Valentine's Day, I hope you have an opportunity to have that kind of a connection with your partner, where you're in it together because you are bonded to each other in a way that has depth, that has stability, that can last, and that your sexual connection can be a beautiful thing that's an expression of your love for each other. So I hope that for you. So I hope this was helpful. This is just kind of the kind of stuff we do on this channel. So if this is something that you're into, feel free, hit like, subscribe. We've got more videos coming. Have a wonderful Valentine's Day. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you guys next time. I love you. Thanks for being with me. I will see you soon. Bye-bye.